Hey guys, what's up? This is Mal, and I'm here to talk about the originals, episode 314, titled A Streetcar Named Desire, which premiered Friday, February 26, 2016 on the CW. And guys, this is part 2 of the crossover event with the Vampire Diaries. So if you haven't done so already, please check out my video for episode 714 of the Vampire Diaries if you want to know what I thought about part 1. So let's get right into it for part 2. Sorry for the delay for everything, but I'm trying to catch up. But let's do with a 15-minute clock this time since it is the crossover event, and let's begin. Something new we learned, sorry. So picking off right where the episode left off, it's day after the full moon, and Klaus is bringing Stefan to meet Freya to help him with Reyna, and she basically gives Stefan this paste thing that she puts over the Phoenix mark, and it's meant to cloak the tracking signal that the mark emits. So Stefan's covered in that regard, which is kind of why he stays in New Orleans longer, because he doesn't just drop in, get what he wants, and then leaves. He kind of gets dragged into the whole fiasco especially when he finds out that the Sire lines are in jeopardy at the moment. Also, this is an episode where Freya learns that Rebecca is daggered. It wasn't clear to me whether Klaus also heard that news from Elijah as well, but for sure Freya knows about Rebecca because Elijah realized that if he were to die, then no one would know where Rebecca is. So there's that. So this episode mainly focused around the unlinking spell between the originals and their Sire lines. So essentially we get the Strix capturing Klaus and Elijah, and with representational magic, they draw them into this magical limbo type place I've been calling it. And that is where they are stuck with Aurora and Tristan, who is still drowning at the bottom of the ocean. Klaus and Elijah have to deal with these two psychotic siblings and try to figure out which object in the room represents them, because that is what's holding them in this limbo type place. So they have to deal with a lot of comments that is meant to tear the brothers apart, but instead they turn the tables around on them, separating the psychotic siblings to a point. So eventually, they do realize that it's actually the queen pieces in the chess game that are the representations meant to represent the two women that they scorn and lost, who are getting retribution against them, so Aurora and Aya. So when Freya comes in after some magic manipulation, thanks to Lucian, she's able to destroy the queen representations, allowing for Elijah and Klaus to reawaken right in the middle of the unlinking spell. And they have to get out of the pool that they were floating in, and Elijah manages to do that, attacking a lot of the witches in the process. Klaus tries to do it, but Davina throws him back in and completes the unlinking spell. So while all that was happening, Marcel, Haley, and Stefan managed to provide a distraction towards the Strix, because a whole bunch of them had flown in for this unlinking event, and Stefan rips off the paste on his chest, bringing Reyna Cruz to the Strix as their distraction. But in the end, since Elijah was outside the pool when the spell was completed, his Sire line is intact. However, since Klaus was in the pool, his Sire line is broken. So that was kind of a turn of events right there. Also, on a side note, we see Davina resurrect Cole, a very naked Cole, I might add. We also see Haley killing Aya when Elijah hesitates after his very heated talk with Aya about how they both betrayed each other, how she wants to end it now that she is forever connected to Elijah. She was hoping that the unlinking spell would free her from her connection to Elijah, and apparently that wasn't the case, so Haley just kills her herself. And she mentions that she got a lot more than what Jackson ever got when he was killed. We also, like I mentioned before, Lucian, he was found alive. He was Aurora's prisoner, so at least that explains why he's been gone since episode 308. Glad to see him back. Also, at the end of the episode, we see Klaus entombing Aurora behind a brick wall and a boundary spell. And I have to say, it's about time, for sure. So what was the most shocking moment of the episode? I have to say has to be Klaus' Sire line was unlinked. I mean, I did not expect that. So now I can't use what's happening on the originals or what's happening on the Vampire Diaries to soothe what could happen on the originals. Because as we know, Stefan, Damon, Caroline. We're all connected to Klaus's sire line, and since we had those flash forwards 3 years from now in the Vampire Diaries, that was kind of my saving grace in thinking that Klaus is still alive in 3 years, because all of those characters were still alive. Turns out now that is not the case. They are now not linked to Klaus, as we've seen with Stefan dealing with the repercussions during the unlinking spell, just like Marcel and Lucian were dealing with as well. So it's surprising to see that now Klaus really has no one tethered to him, and it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds before us. So moving on, top 3 favorite moments. First one has to be that Stefan had a major part to play in helping in the rescue mission for Klaus and Elijah. He even had a few scenes with Haley, which is kind of cute, because they did emphasize repeatedly that they don't know each other. When in real life, we all know that Paul and Phoebe, who play Stefan and Haley, are together. So it's kind of fun how they kind of play off that fact. But I really like that Stefan actually got to play a part in the rescue. The fact that it was his mark that brought in their unwanted cavalry, I guess you could say. And the fact that we got to see Stefan experiencing the unlinking, it was great reassurance of the fact that he is a part of this sire line issue, but now he's not, and now he can go back to Mystic Falls and tell everyone, or confirm to everyone, that they aren't connected to Klaus anymore, which I hope they do. Next favorite moment has to be Freya and Lucian. I don't know why, it's just even that brief moment of interaction between the two when she's preparing to do this spell to draw his power from him so that she can get into the representational magic stuff. I really liked it. I don't know why. Their chemistry together is I don't think we saw it since 304. It was either 307 or 304 that we've seen to what extent it was between them, but I hope to see more of it later on. Another favorite moment has to be Cole's resurrection. I mean, they've finally been dangling the fact that he could be coming back for a few episodes now, and it was a whole mission for Davina for like a good 6 months or a year maybe, and to finally have him back is just fantastic, and I love it. Another last favorite moment has to be that the current threats that we were so worried about, or at least I was at the beginning of the episode, have been eliminated. Aurora is now trapped behind a boundary spell bricked off by society in a cemetery, and Aya is dead, so we don't have to worry about these two ladies who had high hopes of destroying Klaus and Elijah, so I'm all for that. So top 3 peeved moments, I only have one, and it was the fact that Davina continued the unlinking spell. Sure, the displays were all fantastic, and it made her look all badass, excuse the word, but the fact that she continued it despite Marcel's reservations over the fact that it may not work, putting his own life in jeopardy. So, I don't know, I did not like Davina in that moment. So there's that. Although I did like she did redeem herself when she brought Cole back. I will say that. So what was the moment I'll remember most in this episode? The fact that it was crossover part 2. That in itself is going to be a big reminder, as is. And I'm moving on to random questions. I actually have a lot of them this time. But first one, did anyone else get an incestual vibe from Tristan and Aurora? I truly think if I didn't know that they were already brother and sister, I would think there was something more going on between the two of them. I was just wondering if anyone else got the vibe off that. I saw through Tumblr that some people were thinking that earlier on in the earlier episodes, but I'm just wondering if anyone else got that actual vibe in this episode. And next question, if Aurora and Aya, the ones who were leading the charge to kill the Michaelsons, are taken out of the threat equation, as it were, then who would be the foe of the prophecy? Well, now that Klaus is unlinked, there is an endless list now, but, like, who do you think? Is it going to be someone brand new, or someone we already know? And next question, now that Lucian is unsired from Klaus, or not connected to Klaus, as however you want to put it, will he try to kill him? I hope not. I hope Lucian has better sense than that. And, I mean, technically, he's the only quote-unquote free vampire that's next in line to the Michaelsons in regards to age. I mean, Aurora is bricked up and behind a boundary spell, and Tristan is completely drowning at the bottom of the ocean. So it's like, Lucian better not mess up his freedom, for sure. Next question. Was that unlinking spell, a one-time deal? I mean, I guess if they wanted to try again, they could use Haley's heart, but it looks like a one-time deal. But what do you guys think? I'm not really sure about the theoretical behind all that, but let me know. Next question. With Cole back, will he try to protect his siblings from his prophecy too, or will he run off with Davina after separating her from the Strix coven? I hope he helps out his family. I really do. But who knows what he thinks about everything that they've done. Because the last time Cole interacted with Klaus, Elijah, and Rebecca was when he was dying, and Rebecca made that promise that she was going to do everything she can to bring him back. Turns out it was Davina, though, who did everything. So I'm wondering if if Cole's going to hold any grudges against them, or if he's just going to help them deal with the prophecy and then bring up all those grudges and stuff. I don't know. You never know with Cole. He's impulsive, and he's apparently, yeah. He's impulsive, but who knows how much of an effect Davina has on him. Also about Cole, next question. Did he come back as a vampire or as a witch? Because we know that Nathaniel is playing Cole, but with Cole being resurrected, does that mean he was automatically resurrected as a vampire, who we usually associate Nathaniel being Cole as, or did he come back as a witch, which we usually associated Daniel being that version of Cole? So I'm just wondering which species of Cole we would get, if that's correct, and if so, it would be interesting if Cole came back as a witch, because then we get to see how Nathaniel will play that off. But does that make him more vulnerable, or would he just be like Freya? No clue. Next question. I missed it, but does Klaus know about Rebecca being daggered? I mentioned it earlier that it either was fast-paced how it happened, or I just missed it. And so if you guys can let me know in the comments below. Much appreciated. Next question. Did you know that Klaus and Stefan were talking about Caroline, that they never mentioned her name? They just referred to her as the her. So I thought that was pretty interesting, because on the Vampire Diaries, Klaus would specifically say Caroline's name, but here on the originals, he just references her. He doesn't say her name, but he alludes to her. So unless you never watched the Vampire Diaries, you would never know who this her was. So I just thought that was pretty interesting in itself, and I wonder if anyone else caught on to that as well. Okay, last question. I know it's pretty long, but will the fact that Stefan is no longer sired to Klaus, which means David and Caroline aren't sired as well, do you think that will be brought up on the Vampire Diaries? I hope so. It's definitely a major thing for them that they need to know that their fate isn't connected to whatever happens to Klaus. I definitely hope it's brought up. I mean, especially if it happened over here. So I hope so. What do you guys think? And moving on to predictions. So based off the promo for 315, we see Klaus being paranoid that all of his enemies in his sire line are now going to come after him. It seems that Freya's not really that concerned, but with Klaus's reputation, he has every right to be concerned about having a huge target on his back now. And based off the synopsis, though, Cortez is coming to town, and he has a vendetta against Klaus. Many people are saying that Cortez is going to be the foe in the prophecy, but he definitely seems to be like he's the big bad of the third half of the season, aside from the big prophecy looming over it. Overall predictions, I think, or I hope, we get more Lucian and Freya moments. Even just them arguing or just having them share a scene together would be fantastic. Another one would be, I hope Freya officially meets Cole as siblings, because we know that Freya attended the Christmas party in 1914 as Cole's date. But I'm under the impression that Cole didn't know that Freya was his sister. And I'm assuming that he just brought her along as like magical arm candy, as it were. Since Freya knew that Cole was her brother, so she would have had things in control and what can or couldn't be done. So I'm wondering how that reunion is going to happen between Cole and Freya. If Cole is going to recognize Freya from 1914, and then if he even knows that Freya is his sister or not. I definitely can't wait for that official introduction between the two of them. And prophecy stats. I mentioned that I'm going to do this every episode. So, as always, family is done by Rebecca falling by Elijah due to him daggering her by her request. And last week I had Friend being Klaus falling due to Marcel and the Strix. I think now it's going to be Elijah falling because of Marcel and the Strix. Last week I had Foe being Elijah falling due to Aya and Aurora, but since those two are out of the equation, I think it's now Klaus falling because of Cortez, or really it could be anyone since Klaus really has no one side to him anymore. So there's that. And guys, I beat the 15-minute timer because it's gonna go off in 3, 2, 1, and I did it. That's just fantastic. And I just stopped it. Okay, so that's it from my talk on the episode. What did you guys think of it? Did you like it? Was it what you expected with it being the crossover event? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos. And don't forget to share it with anyone else who is a fan of other originals or even other Vampire Diaries as well. Also, if you want a more detailed recap of the episode, check out my live journal account. Link for that will be down below. It's more of a detailed recap of my first viewing of the episode with my the moment observations and questions that I may not have covered in this video. Also, if you want more information about the originals, check out my Tumblr page. Links for those will be down below. I reblog promos, synopses, episode sneak peeks, web clips, quotes, stills, gifs, all of that. Some casting news as well, and anything that pops up on my dashboard, I reblog it through Tumblr, so you can check that out. It's as organized as it can get, and that's about it. So thank you guys for watching. I truly appreciate it. I'm so sorry for the delay this week. Reality just piled up. I'll just say that. But I hope you guys come back next week to see what I have to say about episode 315. And until then, this is Mel wishing you all a great day, great week, wherever you are. Bye for now.